Well, welcome to our talk studio, and of course we're focusing on Martha Karua. I just have to, before we start, I have to say, it was referred to there in the piece that she does have a very charming side to her, and she's very pleasant, but when the cameras are on or she's in front of an audience, she just gets very stern, so people don't often see that side of her. So let's talk about Martha Wangari Karua and her pros and cons. David, let me start with you. What are the pros? What are the pros?
Well, I think first one has to appreciate that Martha Karua is one of the most principled politicians we have in this country. She has very firm positions she takes on issues, and she's not afraid to move from those positions or to actually differ with people she works closely with. And we've seen her when she was in DP, she was very, very pro-Kibaki. When she was passed over in the shadow cabinet appointments and she was not made shadow minister for justice, she was very furious and she made it clear. And when she was in Kibaki's administration and she was minister for justice and the appointment of judges seemed to have been done without her consultation, she was furious and she quit. So very few politicians actually have been able to quit while in government. And Martha has demonstrated she's a principled politician, she's courageous, and she can take on anybody. And then she has strong integrity. That, I think, is what sells her to this country.
Okay. Yes, I think one common thing everybody agrees about Martha is that she has guts. And she has daring. She goes out there and takes what she wants. And I think that is going to help her in two ways. One, because it makes her very aggressive, aggressively competitive. So among all the other presidential hopefuls, she would come out as one of the top most courageous people within that crowd. But secondly, that is also beginning to attract especially younger women in a country where women are so marginalized. That spirit that she has is beginning to bring a lot of attention to her. And younger girls will want to be more like Martha. But the second thing that is not often said about Martha is that she has a genuine commitment to reform. And the way Martha talks today is the same way she was talking 20 years ago, when she was a young tag.
When she was in power, it didn't shift, because for a lot of reformers or people we thought were reformers once they were in government,
yes, she's been saying the same thing over the last 20 years. And even till today, she's one of the very few politicians.
And even in terms of reform, even when she served in the ministries she's the one who put together all these boards, water boards, and they functioned. Actually, when you look at her time and now, you get the feeling that the Ministry of Water has gone down a little compared to the time she was there.
There was talk then that donors were concerned when she was being shifted to the Ministry of Justice because they thought that the water reforms are going to collapse without Mother heading them.
Had you finished your pros?
Yes.
Okay, then let's come to the cons.
Okay, before we go to the negative parts of Martha Karua, I think she is also a very charming person. I've had opportunity to work with Martha Karua. She represented me when I had cases in court. And at a personal level, she actually engages very well. She's outgoing. We've seen her do a gig there, which is flexible and a good personality for public. The flip side of it, I think she gets extremely personal when she doesn't like something. And we've seen that, for example, when she crossed with the press, for misreporting her or misquoting or whatever. She would get so personal, you'd get the sense of vengeance that she would, if she had power, she would fix you into smithereens. And then she personalizes a bit of issues sometimes. She can compete at a public level, but you always sense that Martha can be vindictive. And as Mutai Nguni just pointed out, you can dread that she can be dictatorial in terms of how she run a political party or a government if she's as headstrong the way she is. We need that to push reform, but it can also be excessive and then become sort of dictatorial.
Because in her defense, the press did get very personal with her, I remember, but in that position, those are the things that will happen, and you need to, I guess, develop a way of dealing
managing
with
them
those things.
Right.
The powers of a president are so drastic that people want to see somebody with some compassion. And Mother has so far been unable to show any compassion. And what that is going to do is it's going to scare people, because then they start imagining, what would you do with those powers if you had them? And I think she needs to be flexible, realize that things don't always work the way you want, and you know, be ready to take lesser positions for the wider interests of everybody. But this has also worked against her in her community, because unfortunately within the Kikuyu community, women leadership is almost synonymous with dictatorship. And there's a folk role of Wangua Makeri.
Yes.
And rather than...
If you don't know the story, please, if you're young and you didn't hear the story, just Google Wangua Makeri and see what comes up.
So I think Mother has made that work even more against her, rather than soften and show that she can be, you know,
okay, so maybe you're saying, maybe showing that softer side that we are saying we have seen in her, rather than being hard all the time, is important.
Yes, but then there is a problem that she is a lone ranger.
Yes.
As Mutahi said, she does it alone. And I always believe that you can tell the success, the possible success of a presidential bid by how many people of your equals are supporting you. We don't see any of Mother's equals deferring to her and supporting her and thinking that she can be their president. Now, if you have a problem convincing people who know you that you can be their president, how will you convince people who don't even know you?
Let's go to the bigger picture, the whole field as it is, and Martha in it. I mean, gentlemen, you saw the poll right now, and you've got to say, love her or hate her, Kenyans respect Martha Karua. So what do you see overall in terms of her ability to perhaps win this next coming election?
I don't think that I'll give a high rating in terms of how things stand. In an ideal situation, Martha Karua would be the kind of person you want to be president, because she's no nonsense. She'll manage things, you know, efficiently, perhaps. But you know, there is a certain polarizing aspect around her, meaning that in the political arena where she is, she may not attract a lot of people around her who might give her fast financial resources to propel her forward. Two, just the company and the following, the support, not just monetary, but people bring other people. So you're looking at Martha in Central, she is not embraced by the Central Province capitalists who determine, who have the money, who can sway people. She's all alone, which is good for her and for the country, because we don't want a presidential candidate who is a captive of
lobbyists or different interests.
But going out there, she is, I think she has opportunity to get a lot of women to support her if they can disentangle themselves from you know, ethnicity and so forth, because she's picking issues which the country needs to listen to. She can attract youth and people in the middle class and upper who are not beholden to ethnicity. I think she has a good constituency there, but I don't think they constitute the numbers that can propel her to Martha wave to the presidency.
Okay.
Yes, I would agree, but, and also add that Mother is not using one thing that can really work for her, which is the fact that she's a woman. And she needs to make women relate to her as a woman. So we should possibly hear her talking more about women's rights and what she would do for the empowerment of women if she were to become president. I also wouldn't rate her very highly at the moment. But I would say that if it is destined that Kenya will in the near future have a woman president, then that woman is Martha Karua.
Then it is Martha Karua. Then it will be, you both agree on that.
Yeah.
Give us out of 10 chances.
Well, in the happiest circumstance, and having said those constraints to Martha, I think Martha would be a good person to deal with for a running mate if the politicians were serious in engaging, because then she goes there. But for the top, chance of her becoming the next president of Kenya, 3 out of 10, you know, I think.
Okay, Paul?
I would say 4. I think she has potential to build up something that can go forward.
Well, those are our analysts.